What's up guys, this is Jay the Wrap Specialist, and today I'm going to show you guys how to wrap a hood. Here I'm going to use a Chevy Camaro. I'm going to use 3M material, the 1080. It's a satin black. 1080 satin black is a little bit more difficult than a matte or a gloss, but I'm going to show you guys how to make it happen without having too much trouble. I'm going to show you the different steps that I use when I wrap hoods on all cars. This one here has 2 vents on the hood, so we make sure to remove that. I'm gonna make sure I clean it. It does have some adhesive from the vents. I'm also gonna show you guys how to get in there when you're wrapping, or how far you got to go to wrap it. I'm gonna show you guys how to do the corners, pretty much how to make it happen and do the install correctly. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that the car is nice and clean. So I'm gonna start off by cleaning the car up with a clay bar. This usually comes with a Maguire or quick detail spray. They usually sell a package that comes with both of them on there. What this does, it actually helps take away all the dirt that's stuck on the car that won't come off when you wipe it down. So this makes it really smooth. To clean it, what I usually do is just spray the whole hood with a quick detail spray. And when I spray, I try not to spray too much on the edges, like the corners, because you don't want some of this to get on there, and once you're doing the corner or wrapping the corners, it's gonna be wet, because sometimes it does not want to come off of there. With this clay bar, you pretty much just go in circles and it's gonna take off all the dirt or anything that you feel on there. Once you're done, you actually feel the difference, that it's really smooth, or way smoother than when you start. This is one step that I see a lot of people don't actually use or do, but I think it's one step that's really important, because that's how you make sure that your car is actually really clean and smooth when doing the install. I know most people, they just wipe it down and start laying vinyl. But that's not, I don't ever do that. And also the reason why I said that satin black is a little bit more difficult to wrap than other colors like matte black or gloss black is because satin black is more prone to leaving adhesive lines, especially with the material I'm using. And where it happens is usually along these lines, like the middle section, or these lines that are on the hood. So what I do is I install it in a certain way to avoid that. There's some dirt on here, and I mean some of that won't come off with just wiping it down. So after I do this, what I do is I have one towel that I use only for the clay bar. Then I have another towel that I'm gonna use only for the alcohol. The alcohol is gonna be your cleanest towels. Usually try to make sure that both of your towels are cleaner or are brand new. But definitely make sure that your alcohol towel is actually the cleanest one. Because sometimes I know people reuse certain towels, but don't do that with your alcohol towel. Okay, so after I pass the clay bar on there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray the quick detail spray back on the hood once again, but this time I'm gonna wipe it down. I'm not gonna pass the clay bar on there again. Since I did pass the clay bar on there, sometimes it leaves some of the clay bar residue on the car. With this, I make sure to take it off, and then I'll pass the alcohol over that to make sure that everything is really off the car. And also, when you do use alcohol, make sure to use 70% alcohol. I know they have like 30 and 50%. 70 would be your perfect one to use. Don't use anything higher than that. Also, when you're gonna wrap something, make sure to wipe around the area that you're gonna wrap. You're wrapping the hood, you clean on the side of the fenders, the front side where the bumper is, and even the window area. Because any of that dust that's around those areas, you can pick it up when you're laying the material, and then it'll get under the piece that you're trying to wrap. To seal off these edges is automotive tape. They usually also sell a blue one. That's usually my favorite, but this one works as well. So I'm gonna just lay this all along the edges. This also helps me when I'm laying the material, because it does not stick to this side. I just need it to stick to the side that I'm wrapping. And I put it just a little bit over that edge and then I just somewhat like fold it down. But I mean, I really don't need it. I'm already pretty used to this. If you're starting on this, I would pretty much go a little bit over it and try to fold it in, because your blade is actually going to pass through here. Especially on the Camaro, you need to be careful around the bumper. The bumper is actually going to be your most difficult place to cut, because it does have a seal there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's some rubber there. And that's going to make it a little bit more difficult, because if you cut too deep, you end up cutting that rubber. And that's something you don't want. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to lay the material. I have my little brother here. He's going to grab the front end of the material, and I'm going to keep the roll. He's going to go to that side of the car, and I'm going to go to this side. And really try not to let the material touch the car until I'm pretty much almost on the other side of the car. Now we can lay it down. And that should cover the whole hood. You got 6 feet, that should be enough to do the whole hood of the car. You do see that it is touching the window. That's the reason why we why we clean the window. Once I do peel off the material, I'm gonna make sure it sticks on there, because I don't want it to stick yet on the hood. And what I do is usually peel all the way to about here. And the reason I do that instead of peeling the whole thing is because I'm trying to avoid not having any dirt or anything else get under the material. I also noticed that some people, what they do is they peel off the full wrap or the full thing off the full backing paper. They sometimes do it on the front of the car, on the other side of the car, and then they walk over with a big peeled off film and lay it on there. But I feel like if you're walking around with your peeled off film and then lay it while you're walking, there's going to be something getting into that film, and it's not going to be clean. So I usually, once it's on the car, it's not leaving there. So what we're gonna do here right now is he's gonna grab that end, I'm gonna grab this end, and I'm gonna start peeling. When I peel, we're gonna go about to right here, and then we're just gonna make sure that we stick it to the fender and try to get it stuck on the window. And bear with me, because this is really the first time I ever explained how I do things. So pretty much just peel towards the middle. Make sure when you're grabbing the bottom section, you grab it hard. And keep peeling, keep pulling away from you. Okay, so now you got, that's about as much as I need. So now switch hands, and with that other hand, you're gonna pretty much pull the material under the car, and bring it under there, and now lay it back down. When you lay it down, you pretty much stick it to the fender, and the rest is gonna be up here on the top of the window. This does not have to be perfect. What I also make sure is that when I do lay it, it actually, you gotta make sure that it's over the corner. The reason for that is because sometimes you're not paying attention, and then the film is like right here, and you don't make it all the way to the corner. I do give myself extra room to do those corners. You will need it. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna start peeling this off, and I'm gonna go towards that side, and you start pretty much doing the same thing as me. You're gonna pull on the bottom paper and start walking that way. Let me get on this side, and with one hand, and start peeling. Keep going, and kind of try not to let the film stick to the bottom. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep the film from sticking to the car. So we're kind of putting on the corners towards the outer side. So this is where we peel the rest of it. We try not to have it too high, because I don't want no dirt to go in. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab the corners. You're not gonna actually grab the actual corner. You're gonna grab pretty much on the side, and you're gonna let that corner kind of hang, and you're gonna pull towards the outside. And what you see, once I start pulling, you're gonna see that middle section kind of flatten out. That's pretty much what they call glassing. You're gonna try to glass as much as possible, but with satin, you kind of only have one try. So once it's down, it should stay down, because if you keep lifting and going back and forth, with this type of material, you're gonna have a hard time. And the reason for that is gonna be that the lines that you see here, the body lines, those cause small dots, or what they call blue lines. So once the film is down, I would say don't lift it unless you really have to. And the reason for that, of course, is because of those lines. And when I do start to squeegee, I will start by doing those lines first. I will use my wrap glove to go through those lines before I start squeegeeing the rest of the hood. And also what I usually do is I start from the middle, and then from the middle I start going to the outer sides. Even on bumpers, when I wrap them, I start from the middle, then I go to the left or right or whatever. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is when I start squeegeeing the hood or using my glove, I usually spray a quick detail spray on the hood to make things smoother. I also don't want to be scratching the hood, and this really helps with that. So I'm gonna kind of spray the middle section. And since I'm gonna start in the middle, that's what I'm gonna spray the most. And like I said, I usually pass my finger down those lines because I don't want those lines to show any glue lines. I don't exactly need to go all the way down in the beginning, but it really matters pretty much before I start really squeegeeing. So here's the other line. And this is something you don't really need to worry about when you're using like matte or gloss, but for sand, just trust me, do these lines first. Also for a squeegee, I really recommend you to buy the squeegees like these, where you could put the actual sleeve on there. This is a squeegee and glove made by Pain is Dead, and I feel like these are the best ones to use. I do like to use squeegees like I also have a black one that has a magnet that helps when wrapping full cars, because if you're done or you need to do something or move out the way, you can just stick it to the car with the magnet. So when I'm squeegeeing the car, I usually try to use it pretty much at this angle. That's as far as I want to go. I don't want to go too high or too low. And press down on it. And with the light, you can kind of see where the air is. And what we're trying to do here is get the air out of the hood. This one's actually getting a little difficult. When you see something like that happen, pretty much gonna lift this end off the end. So my battery is about to die, so just give me a second. But what I'm gonna do here is lift it real quick. Try not to do that. It is kind of cold here, so the material does feel a little harder than usual. So you gotta be careful with that. Also, the temperature really matters. Most of the time, you gotta try to wrap when it's around 75 degrees. It's actually really cold here today. So whenever I do get some wrinkles like that, what I do is I usually pull towards one end and then towards the other. And you kind of just gotta play with it to see how to get it flat, because you gotta try to get it as flat as possible. This bumper is a little higher than the hood, so it's making things a little bit more difficult. But on most cars, your hood is gonna be about the same as the bumper. So you're not really gonna have this type of issue. Alright, so what I'm gonna do here is pass my squeegee right through that line. Make sure to get that line out the way first. I don't exactly need to go all the way down, but if possible, you can go all the way down. It really depends how the material goes on there. And now what I'm gonna do is kind of start in the middle, because I do have air right in between here and here. So we're gonna try to get that air out the way and try to not to get any like wrinkles on either side. When you do get some bubbles, you can pretty much use your wrap glove to get rid of them. It is a little bit more difficult right now because it is cold here. So right now where I'm getting to this end, you can kind of see like there's some air there. I really can just lift it up a little bit from the outer edge of the hood. So I got that down. Now I'm gonna work towards the front of the car. Since the bumper is a little higher than the hood, I lift this up so I can push the material in. I try not to let the material sit with air like it did, like a little bridge here, because sometimes that does leave a line going. Wherever that air starts, that's where it leaves the line, so you gotta try to kind of squeegee all the air out pretty quickly. Reason it happens on this is because the bumper's a little higher. Most cars, it won't be like that. So what I'm gonna do on this section, right now when I do find my heat gun, because I can't find it at the moment, but I'm gonna stop real quick and look for it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna heat this whole section. The reason I'm gonna heat it is because you see a bunch of little lines here. And once I heat it, I'm gonna kind of just lay the material, pull the material up a little bit and lay it back down just to get those lines out the way. Try to glass out the material. Glassing pretty much means get the material as flat as possible so that you don't have any more issues when squeegeeing the material out. Like as you see here, this should be fine. There's not many lines, there's a few, but it shouldn't give you any issues. It's just gonna be that end. But normally, if it wasn't cold, I could literally just lift that up and lay it back down and those lines will be gone. But it's a little cold here, so I'm gonna use the safe side, kind of warm it up a little bit and just lay it down. When I do lift it and lay it, I'm not gonna pull. I'm just gonna kind of lift it and lay it down again. I found my heat gun. I'm gonna go ahead and warm up this side of the hood before I lift it up a little bit because it's really cold here. So what I'm gonna do is just warm it up. I don't want it to really get too hot because I don't want the hood or the vinyl to stretch. I kind of just want it to relax a bit. And this, of course, won't always happen. I usually do this pretty quickly so I don't exactly deal with this. But if it does happen to you, no worries. And I can, even by the sound, I can tell that the film is really cold, so I need to warm it up a bit. Because when it's cold, it will rip on you way easier. Okay, so now that I have it in the air, I see these little lines, so I'm gonna try to get rid of them or just relax the film a bit before I lay it back down. Okay, that should be good. So one thing I do is never really pull from the corners. I kind of let the corners hang. And what I'm trying to do is actually get this side to be smooth and then worry about this side once I actually get there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start squeegeeing once again. And you remember that you do have a vent here. When the vent is there, I usually kind of try to follow with my finger to lay that piece first. Once that is closed, then I can get back to squeegeeing. I'm gonna come from the top down and kind of follow the direction of the lines, because if you go up in the direction that the lines are going, it's actually gonna cause a bunch of wrinkles on this side. So I'm gonna try to come back from top to bottom instead. Those lines are kind of going from bottom to top, so I'm also going to keep coming from the top to bottom instead of going like this, because if you go like this, you're pretty much going to make those lines just fold and you're going to cause a bunch of wrinkles. So we're going to come from top to bottom. Also, I try, when I'm wrapping, I try not to use like squeegee only this corner and leave a whole corner open. I kind of try to follow one line coming this way and one line going that way. Once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to squeegee this quicker. If you do see small bubbles like this, just kind of touch them with your wrap glove and they'll go away. Unless you're using like a material that does not have air release, then that won't happen, they'll just stay there. Okay, so now we're getting to this line that's pretty much crazy compared to the others. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to lift it up, maybe warm it up a little bit before I lay it back down to get rid of it. Because me coming from the top down, following the line, is not gonna make it go away. Because you see how high that line goes. I'm gonna warm up the outer edge of the vinyl because it's really cold here, so if I just lift it while it's cold, it's just gonna rip down the middle of the hood. So most of the time when you do lift the material, try not to put your hand under the material unless you really have to. Most of the time I try to lift from the outer edges of it. So kind of just warm it up a bit. Like I always said, never pull from the corners. Just leave that corner hanging in the middle and pull outward. So now you see, let me see, this line, the line that was here went away. I still got one more, so I'm gonna see how I can get that one out. I think I'm gonna have to lift up a little more. Warm it up a little bit, make sure it's gone, and do the same thing again. Sometimes you gotta do it more than once. And now you can just squeeze it back down like normal. Get a bubble. That's what this wrap glove is for. It helps with bubbles or stuff like that. You also won't get what's it called, oil from your skin on there, especially if you're touching the material a lot with your hand. So most of the time what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be just using one hand with the wrap glove on the car. That's a good thing about 3M, that their air release works really well. Lift it up from the outer side, and when you lift it, you kind of pull away from it, and then you can kind of just squeegee it out. And when I'm pulling, I'm not really pulling like crazy. I'm just pulling a little bit. So let's see that the corner should be around here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get this out. Let's see if I can lift it. And I'm trying to be careful because the cold will make it rip. And again, we got the corner in the middle. We're putting on pretty much the ends on the outer sides, and it lays. And now all I just do is pass my squeegee it down there. Pretty much that's the corner of the hood. And from here, we're gonna start heading towards the front. And I feel like most hood wraps go really smooth. I don't usually deal with a lot of this, but it's actually a good thing that I am dealing with it here. That way I can show you guys what to do when that happens to you. Or if you get some type of like lines or things on your while you're installing. And the green tape that's under there not only helps when you're cutting, but it also helps so that the material doesn't stick to the fender or the bumper. So that allows you to do this. If not, it would be sticking to the car and you wouldn't be able to lift it as easily. When I get to the ends, I kind of just bridge it out. You're gonna see some of the material going from this side to that side. I don't use my squeegee and press down. I kind of just let it stay like a little bridge, because then I'll come with my blade and cut on the other side of it. And what that extra material is just going to be folded in. You don't need too much when it comes especially to this brand material. It's a really good brand. It's not, you don't really need to wrap all the way in like any more than that. So we got this side down. I usually leave these for last, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish the other side. And what I'm gonna do on this side, the same thing I did on the other, because we do have those lines from when we laid it. I'm gonna use the heat gun to warm this side up. I'm gonna lift it, lay it back down a little, lay it back down. When you do lift and pull, you don't pull like crazy. You just gotta pull enough to make those lines go away. And you don't need to glass it all the way here. You kinda just need to glass it to where you're working, because you're coming like this. You don't need the whole thing to be glassed. When it's a little warmer outside, it's actually super easy to glass the whole thing. But there's times when this will happen, so you gotta know how to deal with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my heat gun. All right, so I'm gonna heat this up. Heat the outside of it because I'm gonna lift it. And it's really cold. All right, once it's warm, lift it. Leave my here. And since I got this like line or whatever that is on there, I want to get rid of that. So I'm gonna use the heat. I want to relax the material because you can kind of see the line going through here. So I want to get rid of pretty much as I can, but I don't want to heat it too much. I just want it to relax. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the same thing I did on the other side. I'm gonna let the corners hang down the middle and pull away. I'm not gonna pull like crazy, even though it kind of looks like I am, but I'm not. I'm gonna warm it up a little bit more. I might have to lift to get this line out, but for now, I'm gonna let it steady. So the lines are going towards the corner where we pulled, so we're gonna come from the top. And sometimes when doing these, what happens is when you're following your finger like that, the material kind of comes towards the middle, and then you get a line. So if that does happen, you kind of lift it, warm it, pull it away, and you'll get rid of that. Let's see if it happens this time. Yeah, there we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift the material, warm it up, and pull away. Or another easier way would be for you to make a cut right here. When you make that cut, you can lift it from there and get it out. I really try not to put my hands under there, but sometimes you have to. So I'm gonna relax the material that's inside the vent a little bit. Relax the outside material, and then I'm gonna pull and try to get that out of there. I'm still not pulling really hard, but this should do it. So now I'm gonna pass my finger again, and there we go, it's closed off. When I do lift and heat and pull, remember, don't pull hard, because if you do, it's gonna leave some lines. Like a lot of times, it kind of looks like I'm pulling, but I'm really just holding it up. When I hold it up, it makes those lines go away, so I can squeegee in. Okay, so if you look here, there's some lines that are going down that look like they're gonna be hard to get off. So to get rid of that, I'm gonna lift the material from way on this side and pull a little bit, and that's gonna make that be easier to squeegee out. Squeegee's getting a little dry. I'm gonna go ahead and get some more detail spray. Certain bubbles are not gonna come out when you do pass your wrap glove on them, so sometimes you do have to lift it. It's a little scary, especially because it's cold here. And I know I've said that a bunch of times, but when it comes to wrapping, the temperature also matters a lot. If you wrap when it's too hot, it's also going to give you some issues. If you wrap when it's too cold, it's going to give you issues. You got to kind of have the perfect temperature. And that's why a lot of times it's best to work under a controlled temperature. what I'm gonna do is try to make that bridge flow through the whole hood, around the whole edge. I want it to flow pretty smooth, so I'm gonna actually add some heat to this. So what I usually do first is cut. When I cut, I'm gonna cut in the air. I'm not gonna have my blade going all the way down because you're probably gonna scratch something. I'm really just gonna cut in the air a little bit, and I'm gonna give it about maybe about 1 inch. And if you feel more comfortable, what you should do is just lift it up. That way you don't end up cutting anything. Just go lifting it up. There's no hurry. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Because this is all this material really just goes behind the hood. It's not gonna be on the outside. Once I get to this corner, I cut up. Because I still need some material to do this corner. Is I'm gonna start cutting, and I'm gonna line my blade to pretty much follow the right side of the hood. We're not gonna cut on the hood side. And I'm also gonna start cutting around here because I still need to leave that corner for last. I did put some tape on there. I'm also not gonna cut deep. I'm not gonna have my blade facing in or anything like that. I'm pretty much just letting the blade pretty much glide through there. You don't have to go deep or anything like that. Because you gotta be careful, because I know some people I've seen people where they scratch the paint on the car. So you kind of just get it in there. Use a brand new blade so you don't have any trouble. And just let it glide. Once I get to kind of this side, I'm gonna start from this side. I feel like it's easier for me to go towards the front. And because most of the time when you're going from this side to that side, the blade kind of just glides into the bumper. We haven't gotten to that side yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come to this side where I started. I'm gonna lift this material. I put my hand here because I don't want it. I'm kind of scared because it's cold. I don't want the material to rip in half. Cut down the middle. Trying to get there. And of course, what you're trying to do is avoid touching the paint. Do the same thing I did on the other. Lift it up. In the air, I'm not cutting it on the paint. So now I have enough material to do the corners. So for the vents, some cars are not gonna have it. Then that means you don't have to deal with this. Other cars are gonna have it. So what I would do on these, what I usually do is, since there's like nothing here, it says it's open. So what I do is I get my blade, I start from one corner and bring it down the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. And bring it down to the other corner. So that pretty much relaxes the material. You don't have no tension. Then what I do is heat it up a little bit. Get all that edge on there warm. Then I get my squeegee, lift it up, and squeegee down. The reason I'm lifting is because I want the material to stick on the side first before it does on the bottom. Because if not, you'll probably get some bubbling. Corner, same thing. This corner is not deep, so you can kind of just do it with your finger. Bring it down with the squeegee. And this doesn't have to go all the way in, because of course that vent goes over all this and you won't really see it. But I mean, I still like to go as far as I can. But none of this, you won't see none of this. So as you can see here, there's some air there. I lift it up. Once I lift it, I get that air out by pressing down on this side of the hood. Here I got a little bit of tension. You just gotta keep lifting it up so it doesn't have any tension on there. I really don't want tension coming from this side to this side, because then you'll get air in the middle, air bubbles. So this has to be the least tension as possible. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass my blade through here on the outside, just following that line. You really don't have to push the material under there, because like I said, the vent goes over all of this, so that's gonna keep the material good on there. You don't have to go all the way in there. So I'm gonna start from the top. I'm gonna just let the blade kind of glide on there, if it will. And it does not have to be perfect, because like I said, this is not gonna, you're not gonna see any of this. That should be good to go. And I'm gonna just do the exact same thing on the other side. So what I'm gonna do now is I open the hood and I'm gonna start working these edges out. To do the edges, what I have to do is heat them all the way. Pretty much just heat the whole edge, and as you're heating, you're gonna pass your finger through them. I'm gonna open the hood so I can show you how to do that. So I'm gonna just heat from the top. Make sure that the material is relaxed. Once I see that a section is down, I pretty much just pass my finger over it. So the material's still not all the way down, so then I'll pass my finger more deeper in there to make sure it stays down. So I go from passing my finger on the top and then again on the bottom to make sure that goes down smoothly. I go to the next section, do the same thing, pass the heat gun, make sure it's relaxed, pass my finger through the top. I'm barely passing it on there, I'm not even pressing on it hard, that's why the hood is staying up. And then I go again, further down. Okay, so before I do this corner, I'm gonna do this section over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and heat that also. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim once again, because it is pretty long. I pretty much just needed enough to fold in a little bit. I don't need that much. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna fold this curve inside, then I'm gonna come to this other corner and fold it in. Do the same thing I did on the other side, kind of just pass my finger on the top. On these, I pass my finger on the side, and then I pass my fingers once again on the bottom, because this material is longer on this side. When I do this corner, I'm actually gonna open the hood all the way up. Let me see if I can do that. So these corners are a bit tricky. This is what most people want to see. I'm gonna start off by hitting it a bit. There's a few different techniques that I use for corners. I'm gonna show you one. gonna heat it up a little bit. Fold it up on me. So we're gonna let that corner piece kind of hang in there, and then I'm gonna press in with both fingers. This finger and this finger are gonna press in a little bit, but not too hard. I don't want the material to rip. And then I'm gonna press down the middle. So now I have the material kind of under the hood, and then I'm gonna use some more heat. And I'm gonna do that again, because I'm trying to keep the material to stay under there. And then again down the middle, and I'm pressing in to get that nice outer curve smooth on there. Because really the goal here is to have this corner smooth on there, and also for it to stay. So I still have some material hanging on the back, and I'm gonna use some more heat on there. And I'm gonna do the same thing once again. And it's kind of hard to see on there, and I'm trying my best to explain to you what I'm doing. I'm not really used to explaining, I kind of just do it. So with both fingers, I'm pressing on the material inward. And then I go back again and press down the middle. And get the material to stick under the hood. And what I usually try to do is try to get that to be really smooth. Like, if you pass your finger on there, you'll feel it. This, of course, will take practice, and sometimes you'll have to do it a few times to finally get it right. But if you don't really care about corners, you can pretty much just trim it around and just fold it in. So this should do it. Then I'm gonna get my blade, and I'm gonna cut on the inside all that excess material. I'm just careful. I'm really just cutting the material itself. I'm not cutting on the actual car. And then what I'm gonna do is heat again. Just press down on the material and it'll stay on there. So this is one way that I do them. There's also another way where I can actually get the material to stick and cover this whole corner. But I mean, a lot of times you really don't even need to do that. But there's a different way that I sometimes use that covers pretty much this whole corner of material. And that way, I think they call it pretty much cutting a triangle, like doing triangle cuts. So if you look at it from this side, you'll see that it is smooth. You can pass your finger through here and you won't feel a thing. And before you finish, just make sure you heat up that corner. So once you're done, you can start taking this tape away, if it lets you. So what I'm spraying here is 70% alcohol. So I can wipe off whatever is on there. I want to get it nice and clean. So there you have it, guys. I just finished the hood on there. If you have any questions or anything that you want to ask, go ahead and ask it on the comment section. I'll make sure to answer as best as I can. Also, don't forget to like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel, Jay the Rap Specialist. We'll be dropping a few more videos that I have lined up, so make sure and stay tuned to see those. I have a few cars that I've been working on, so I want to make sure to drop those for you guys. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. See you.